Hello, this is Eric Binion from artablog.com, and today I want to bring you the WordPress Rockstar series, where we're going to take you from very little knowledge of WordPress to having a solid, rounded foundation of WordPress. This way you can build that next web project you want to build and even impress your employer. Alright, so I'm going to assume that you have very little to no knowledge of WordPress, and then we're going to build on top of that. So right about now you may be wondering, why would I even want to learn WordPress? Well, WordPress is currently used on over 62 million websites worldwide. It's used by brands such as TED and CNN and CBS to power their websites. And the reason why is because WordPress is so extendable with themes and plugins. I mean, with themes and plugins, we can take the WordPress core, which is essentially just a blogging system, and we can turn that into a professional corporate website. We can turn it into an e-commerce store. We can turn it into a customer relationship management tool. Essentially, the possibilities are endless through plugins and themes. And so you may ask yourself, what does all of that matter to me? Well, because of the reach of WordPress and how popular it is, that means that you're going to have a lot of support and software given to you by the WordPress community. You don't have to look very far to find great plugins and great themes and great advice in the WordPress community. And that's something you won't find in other content management systems. For example, there's over 24,000 free WordPress plugins in the repository right now, and there are over 1,700 free WordPress themes. And these are just the plugins and themes that are in the WordPress repository. This doesn't count all of the premium WordPress plugins and premium WordPress themes that you can buy at a very reasonable cost. And this is why WordPress is so popular, and this is why it matters to you, because you're getting all the support and all this functionality already built in to where you don't have to take the time or hire a programmer to go out there and build it for you. It's very cost effective. So now, usually we come into this I guess misunderstanding with people between WordPress.com and WordPress.org. So I'd like to take a quick second to just explain that so we're all on the same page. So WordPress.com is the hosted version on automatic servers. So when you create a blog on WordPress.com, usually your domain name will look something like yourname.wordpress.com. And the great thing about this is it's hosted. You don't have to worry about a lot. You just get in there and blog. Now, you can go ahead and purchase a domain name and hosting and all kinds of other things through WordPress's website. But what a lot of people do when they want the extra functionality of WordPress is they go and download the WordPress.org version, which is just the self-hosted version of WordPress. So when you use WordPress.org, you have to get your own host. And usually these cost between $3 and at an upper range, maybe $20 for a VPS or a more expensive shared plan. But the benefit to this is usually you can run maybe a dozen websites, and you have greater access to MySQL and code and things like that. So to summarize that, WordPress.com is for people that really want to spend as little time as possible fooling around with the code and tweaking things. WordPress.org is for the people that really want to expand WordPress and kind of mold it into their own custom thing instead of just a blog. All right, so now that we've covered more what WordPress is and why it's so powerful for you to use, let's talk about how to install WordPress. So really, there's two options that you can use when you're going to install WordPress. You have one-click installs that are provided by different shared hosts out there, where all you have to do is go and click a few buttons. And this is awesome for people that don't really want to muck around with the code, don't want to use FTP, could really care less about how their server's set up. And honestly, to this day, I still use one-click installs just because there's a few features that I don't really want to do myself when I do the FTP install. Now, FTP install is for those people that love to play around with the server, and for those people that want to change things to fit their own needs when they upload WordPress. An example of this is when you're uploading WordPress, you can prefix all your tables with a security key. Basically, just helps you to make your database more secure. Well, to do that, you have to have an FTP installed instead of a one-click. So, all right, let's go ahead and talk about how to go through these different installs. First, I'm going to cover the one-click install, then I'm going to go on to the FTP install. All right, so to do the one-click install, let's go to one of my cPanels. So I'm going to use shutterbugwebs.com, and then we're going to go to the cPanel. All right, so once you're at the cPanel, go ahead and log in. Okay, so this is what cPanel looks like. Now, you're going to see, depending on which cPanel you use, which host you use, you're going to see different options. Green Geeks uses Softaculous and Fantastico to do their one-click installs. I'm going to use Softaculous for this. Now, once you're back here, WordPress is almost always going to be one of the first choices in your one-click installs. So we're going to hit install. Choose protocol. This is allowing you to choose whether you want the www, just the HTTP, or if you want the security. Choose domain name. All right. In directory. Basically, this is asking you, so my domain name is shutterbugwebs.com, and if I want to install it in a subdirectory, I can put something in here. So as is, this would be shutterbugwebs.com/WP. This would be where the WordPress is installed, and that's fine. Here in database settings, we've got the table prefix. So by default, it's WP, but we can go ahead and just change that to a random string. This will help with the security of your website. So site name, we can go ahead and change that. I'm going to change this to WordPress Rockstar. Cannot type. All right. And then give it a quick description. All right, there we go. Here you can enable the multi-site. We're not going to do that. And I'm going to leave this as the defaults. Let's just leave it pass. All right, let's install. And then we can click this link right here to take us to our website. And our website is now installed. Pretty easy, right? So one-click installs, you don't have quite as much flexibility usually. The Softaculous gave us a little bit of flexibility in choosing the database prefix, which was pretty cool. But for those of you that are hardcore and want to learn the FTP way, let's go ahead and do that. So to do the FTP way, let's go ahead and go to wordpress.org and let's get the latest version of WordPress. So let's download that. Download. All right, so now we've got the latest version of WordPress. At this point, let's go ahead and open up our FTP program. For this video, I'm using Transmit. You can also use a tool called FileZilla, which is free. I'm going to go ahead and log into one of my servers. Depending on your server, you may have a public HTML folder. If so, go ahead and click to get in that folder. If not, you can just upload WordPress at this point. So I'm going to go to my public HTML folder, and for this, I'm going to go ahead and drag in the WordPress folder. And while it's uploading, let's go ahead and create a database. Let's go back to the control panel. Let's go to MySQL databases. Let's create a database. WordPress. All right, so once you have a database, you need to have a user. So let's do WordPress. Word. All right, so we created a user. And now we need to add a user to the database. All privileges. All right, so now all we're doing is we're waiting on the upload. So let's go ahead and give it time to do that. All right, that took a while to upload, but now we're ready. So let's go back on over here to the /wp install that we have where we use the one-click install. And remember how we just uploaded the WordPress folder to our public HTML directory. So since it's the WordPress folder, we're going to type in WordPress here. All right, and so this is the first thing you're going to see when you go after you've uploaded all your WordPress files to your server. It's basically saying, hey, you haven't configured this installation. So let's take care of that right now. Hit the Create a Configuration File button. All right, and so right here, it's going to ask us to enter the database name and password and basically just all the details so it can use the database. All right, so let's go back on over here. And the database was shutterb_WordPress. The user was shutterb_word. The password was passme. Database host, for most services is going to be localhost, but if you use DreamHost, for example, you're going to have to type in, it's usually mysql dot whatever your domain name is. We're going to leave it localhost for Shutterbug. And for table prefix, you can make this whatever you want at this point. So let's just do a random string and then an underscore. All right, so let's test all that. And it looks like it's working so far. All right, so let's enter the site title. WordPress Rockstar series. The admin, we'll leave that. Let's type in a password, your email. Okay, allow search engines to index this website. If you uncheck this, you can very well assure yourself that you will not get any traffic from the search engines. But if you uncheck it, that might be good if you're in development. Just be sure that if you uncheck this right now, you set a reminder to look at it in the future when you're ready to go to production. We're going to go ahead and uncheck this. Then let's hit install. All right, looks like everything is working fine. So let's type this in. Boom, and we are good to go. All right, guys, so for this first video, I've showed you the power of WordPress. I've showed you why you would want to use it. I've explained to you how popular it is. And I've showed you how you can install WordPress using both the one-click install and the FTP install. I think we can both agree that the one-click install is easier and quicker, but everyone to each his own. And that's it for this first video, guys.